Hello and welcome back to the Series Matrix, and we are back with another video on the international relations. So, in the previous video, we completed 2 units of the PT365 document. We'll start with the bilateral relations. Before that, as you might all know, that there's a ceasefire agreement which was violated by Pakistan, but the Indian Army says that it has now been restored. So, I hope that uh, the ceasefire prevails and justice is served. Anyways, so first is the India and China bilateral relations. So this is and the India-China border map. So first is this Saksham Valley region. So this region right over here, towards the north of Siachen Glacier. This is the Saksham Valley. It is a part of the Pak-occupied Kashmir, which was ceded to China by the Pakistanis. This purple line is the line of control, and this region is the Gilgit-Baltistan region. This is the Siachen Glacier. There was a question PIQ regarding this. The Siachen Glacier is located towards the north of Nubra Valley. So, this region here is the Aksai which is considered as a part of India, but Chinese consider it as theirs. So there are two borders which are not practically demarcated, but the two lines. First is the McDonald line, first, and then the other is the Johnson line. So India considers Aksai Chin to be a part of India, and this is the Johnson line, which we consider as our border with Tibet or China. But this McDonald line is the one which is considered by Chinese. So they consider Aksai Chin as part of theirs. So there's this LAC, which is not officially demarcated, the line of actual control. So the context is that the India and China have finally agreed on the disengagement and the resume of patrolling, the resumption of the patrolling in the Depsang and the Demchok areas. So this right here is the Depsang place. This is the Demchok area. So under this disengagement, the areas of Russian, which were the Pangongso Lake, Dollar Lake, Oldie, Depsang Plains, Demchok, the hot springs, Kogra, Pangongso, these have been completed. So these areas basically lie near the Depsang Lakes, basically are 30 kilometers southeast of the Dollar Lake, Oldie, near the Karakoram Pass, and strategically important for the military offensiveness, similar to the Spanger Gap in Chushul. So the relations, uh, India is frequently on a trade deficit with China. China is India's largest trading partner in goods as per 2023. We have a 3,488-kilometer disputed border with India and China. Although in terms of the length of the border, India and Bangladesh have the largest or the longest length or stretch of border. This was also a PYQ. This Indo-China border is divided into like three regions. First is the western one, which is with Ladakh. Then in the middle parts, which is with Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. Then in the eastern part, Arunachal Pradesh sectors. So the line of actual control is a dividing line between two nations. However, the border between India and China is not formally demarcated, as I told you, and there is no mutually agreed LAC. So in the western frontier, we have the McDonald line as well as the Johnson line. So India considers Johnson line as the border between border with China, whereas China considers the McDonald line. So these are based on the McCartney-McDonald line, basically facing the brunt of the British policies. So in the middle sector, uh, this is a largely undisputed area. However, in the eastern sector, with Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim, China claims that the state of Arunachal Pradesh as a part of the Tibetan Autonomous Region. And the LAC in this region is along the McMahon line during the Shimla Convention of 1914 between British India, China, and Tibet. There have been some joint military exercises as well, which is hand in hand, which was suspended post the 2020 tensions, the Galwan Valley uh, unfortunate incident, where we lost 20 of our brave hearts. Then this Pangongso Lake. This is a endochoric lake. Endochoric as in no river or stream flowing out of it. Then water can't flow out. It's just accumulation of salt. It's getting too salt gets accumulated a lot. So this Pengongso Lake is situated in the Leh district of Ladakh. China has completed a 400-meter bridge near Pengongso Lake. It is the world's highest salt lake, like in terms of altitude. Yeah. Then one third of the lake lies in India, and the other two-thirds in China. This the major chunk is in China. Neither a part of Indus River Basin nor a Ramsar site. So even though it is a wetland, it's not a Ramsar site yet. Then formerly, Pangongso Lake had an outlet to Shyok River, tributary of the Indus, but it was closed due to a natural damming. Then in China, obviously the capital of China is Beijing. There have been some contentions in the South China Sea as well. The important rivers are Yangtze, the Yellow River, Mekong River, and Amur River. Although in the Mekong Ganga Cooperation, China is not the member, but Mekong River basically originates from China. So the deserts are the Taklimakan Desert is the largest desert in China and the second largest in the world. The mountain ranges are Kunlunshan Mountains, Tianshan Mountains. So this Kunlunshan is also from the Pamir Knot where the ranges, the Karakoram, the Himalayas, all form of the Pamir Knot. Then towards coming towards the India-Nepal bilateral relations, the capital of Nepal is Kathmandu, and one of the major issues which have been in news was the India-Nepal border dispute from like in the regions of Uttarakhand, basically arising from the dispute of the origin of river Kali or Sharda. So this demarcation of the border was actually done by the Treaty of Sugauli. And Nepal has also decided to introduce a new currency note featuring Indian territories like Lipu Lake, Limpiadhura. So Limpiadhura, Lipu Lake, and Kalapani, these were also included in its currency notes, although these are the territories of India. So Kalapani is the largest territorial dispute between Nepal and India and is a tri-junction between India, Nepal, and Tibet. Then the Treaty of Sugauli in 1816 between British East India Company and the Nepali Gorkha rulers demarcated Uttarakhand's Kumaon district with Kali River as a boundary between India and Nepal. So this origin of Kali River is actually born of condition between these two countries. The key to this agreement is the origin of the river Kali. Nepal considers the river which flows to the west of Kalapani as the main river Kali, originating at either Limpiadhura or near Lipulek, hence specifying the area as an inherent part of Nepal, whereas India argues that the river Kali originates from a smaller rivulet named Pankhadgarh. So Pankhadgarh as a rivulet, this can be asked. So the diplomatic relations. There's a Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1950, which is a bedrock of all our special relations with Nepal. India is the largest trading partner and has a trade surplus with Nepal. India is the highest source of foreign direct investment in Nepal. So the FDI is in Nepal. Then there is a joint military exercise which is Surya Kiran. The energy power agreement energy in South Asia's first cross-border petroleum products pipeline connecting Motihari in Bihar to Amlekganj in Nepal. So South Asia's first cross-border petroleum products pipeline. Then there is Arun 3 hydroelectric project. There have been some multilateral cooperations as well. So like BIMSTEC, Nepal is also a member of BIMSTEC. BIMSTEC, as we remember, it is as BIMSTEC Bhulna Nahi. Then it's also a member of Non-Aligned Motion, then BBIN and SARC. Nepal signed a framework to join the India-led International Solar Alliance. Then about Nepal, as I told you, Kathmandu is the capital, Mount Everest is in Nepal, and the Himalayas are also in Nepal. Mount Everest is the tallest peak of Nepal, of the world actually. So the boundaries with Indian states. So five Indian states share boundary with Nepal. First is Bihar, Uttarakhand, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, West Bengal, and Sikkim. The mountain peaks Kanchenjunga, Dholagiri, Mount Everest, Sagarmatha, and the river basins are Kosi Basin, Gandaki River Basin. So moving towards the India-Bhutan relations. So Bhutan is a dear friend of ours, and recently the Sustainable Tigers Landscape Conference was held in Bhutan. This was quite raising news most of the times. So during his visit, the Prime Minister of India was conferred the Order of the Drag Gyalpo, the highest civilian honor in Bhutan. So the Order of the Drag Gyalpo. So there's a Treaty of Friendship with Bhutan as well, and Treaty of Friendship and Cooperation signed in 1949. So even before Nepal, we had a Treaty of Friendship and Cooperation with Bhutan. India is Bhutan's top trade partner, balance of trade in India's favor. Obviously, because uh, we export more towards there, they import more from the Indian side. And India is the leading source of investments in Bhutan, also for FDI. Then Bhutan is planning to build an international city called the Kelifu Mindfulness City that will connect its border with Assam. Bhutan also is famous for the Gross Happiness Index. So, the Gelifu Mindfulness City connects its border with Assam. Hydropower project, India constructed four major hydropower projects in Bhutan which are supplying electricity to India, which are Kurishu, Tala, Chukha, Mangdekshu. So these are constructed in Bhutan, but they are supplying electricity to India. In terms of security, the Indian military training team, MT-RAT, is permanently based in western Bhutan. India's BRO has built the majority of roads in Bhutan under the project Dantak. So Project Dantak is related to BRO for building the roads in Bhutan. Then Bhutan also there is a launch of RuPay and BhimPay, joint development of India Bhutan satellite. In Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, BBIN, Nepal has agreed had decided not to endorse the initiative for sustainability and environmental concerns. So maybe some pressure or not going into the geopolitics details. Anyways, so Bhutan, the capital of Bhutan is Thimphu, and here is the Doklam Plateau, which was a bone of contention where there was a face-off with the Chinese in 2017. The Doklam Plateau, which shares border with four Indian states: Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, West Bengal, and Sikkim. The landforms mountainous country with rugged terrain, part of the eastern Himalayas. The key rivers are Amoshu, flows into West Bengal and is called Torsa. The Manas River flows into the Assam. There is also in the Manas River, on the banks of Manas River, we have the Manas National Park. And Bhutan is the world's first carbon negative country. Bhutan was the first to adopt the Gross National Happiness Index, as I told you. So this over here, this is the Dijime Dorji Wildlife Sanctuary, which is in Bhutan. So here you can see Manas Wildlife Sanctuary, Manas National Park. So moving towards India, Bangladesh. So Bangladesh was basically in news mostly because the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina was ousted, and there is now an interim government with Mohammed Yunus as the new head of the government. So the important trade partners are Bangladesh is India's biggest trade partner in South Asia, and India is the second biggest trade partner of Bangladesh in Asia. The military exercise which we conduct together are Sampriti and Milan. So Sampriti and Milan. With Nepal, we like conduct Surya Kiran. So we are members, like both of us are in the international organizations which are BIMSTEC, SARC, BBIN, IORA, Indian Ocean Rim Association. And the enhanced connectivity projects have been taken over in order to connect the cities of Bangladesh. So the protocol of the Inland Waterways Trade and Transit Organization of the usage of Chittagong and Mongla Post. So Chittagong you might remember from modern history as well. The Surya Sen, one of the greatest revolutionaries, there was this. He was related to this Chittagong place. Then recent developments in India-Bangladesh relations, the friendship pipeline, Pacific Ocean Initiative, Metri super thermal power plant. So about Bangladesh, Bangladesh is like the capital is Dhaka. Bangladesh is also in news because of Saint Martin's Island. So the five Indian states of West Bengal, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram they share their land boundaries with Bangladesh. The water body is obviously the Bay of Bengal. Then about 60% of the Sundarban mangrove forest is in Bengal. So we just have 40% of the area and still are best. So the Rupur nuclear plant was set up by India and Russia in Bangladesh. The Rupur nuclear plant. So moving forward with the cross-border electricity trade. So India, Nepal, and Bangladesh have signed a pact to facilitate the cross-border electricity trade. So this having they having some initiatives for this. So different projects are mentioned over there in Bhutan, as we have seen that Kurish, Utala, Chukhan, Mangdesh. These are the places where India is like where the supply of electricity comes to India, and these are also developed by India in Bhutan. Then there is this Tapri pipeline, transport natural gas, the India Bangladesh friendship pipeline, Motihari Amlekganj pipeline, as we've seen earlier between India and Bangladesh. This Tapi pipeline is basically from Turkmenistan, then Afghanistan, Pakistan, and then India. So for natural gas. Moving on towards the relations with Maldives. The president of Maldives has made his maiden bilateral state visit to India after winning, obviously, the presidential elections. So we have the CEMSP, so Comprehensive Economic and Maritime Security Partnership. India has also launched the Rupee card in Maldives. There is a currency swap agreement to help Maldives in managing their foreign exchange reserves. So the currency swap agreements are basically a kind of an partnership agreement between two countries where they agree that they would exchange their respective currencies at a fixed time and at a fixed exchange rate. So a predetermined rate in order to stabilize exchange rates and enhance the liquidity. Moving towards the relations. So recently there was an India out campaign because the Maldives were actually claiming that India is intruding. However, India was actually helping. So in that context, the Maldives president pushed for the withdrawal of the Indian military personnel, adopting pro-China policies. So there have been more growing influence of China in the Pacific Ocean, in the Indian Ocean as well. So this was just another attempt of China in order to enter to the waters of Indian Ocean. So in order to like enhance its presence, and there is this Operation Neer in 2014 where we provided water during a crisis. And then vaccine metric through which vaccines for the COVID-19 pandemic were supplied to Maldives by India. Then there have been some other initiatives in order to strengthen our relationship with Maldives. India is building a new Coast Guard base at Uthuru Tilafalu UTF atoll. Atoll are basically ring-shaped coral reefs surrounding a lagoon. So like this right here is the lagoon, and these are the atolls. So mostly the type of coral reef. So India provides grants to Maldives for high impact community development programs. Greater Malay Connectivity Project is also being developed by India. This is the largest infrastructure project in Maldives. So the capital of Maldives is Mali. So this is the location of Maldives. It is separated by the Lakshadweep Islands, basically from the Minicoy Islands by the 8-degree channel, and the Lakshadweep within the Lakshadweep Islands and the Minicoy are separated by the 9-degree channel. The 8-degree channel separates the islands of Minicoy from Maldives. 9-degree channel separates Minicoy uh, from the mainland Lakshadweep archipelago. And then the Twin Tail Channel is basically what separates Andaman and Nicobar. And Nicobar is basically near to the Sumatra Islands of Indonesia. Then moving towards the India-Russia relations, you might have witnessed the powerful relations between India and Russia in the recent war, where we got to see the magnanimous performance of the S-400 anti-missile system. So there was this 22nd India-Russia annual summit where our Prime Minister officially visited Russia. So yeah, over here we have the military cooperations with Russia. Russia has been a very loyal friend to India in terms of the defense cooperation. For example, this BrahMos cruise missile, which is also ballistic cruise missile, basically they follow somewhat, not actually, but some of principles of the projectile motion. Like here we calculate the angle of inclination and then the height, and this right here is the range of the missile from the source to the target. But not all the principles of projectile are followed. Anyways, just a vague representation. So we also have the Kalashnikov A-203 assault rifles. Russia has approved the sale of the BrahMos missile to Philippines as well. We posted in the previous video where one of the nations of Southeast Asia actually commended or was actually so vocal about how the BrahMos missile is very good for South Asian security. So let me know in the comments which one is it. Russia supplies Indian platforms like the S-24 air defense system and new frigates such as the Tushal frigate. Russia has approved the draft reciprocal exchange of logistic agreements with India, it would enable access logistics and support facilities at each other's bases and ports. We have also been importing oil from Russia. So we have been engaging with Russia in various multilateral programs as well, which are the UN, the BRICS, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization also. Russia ranks fourth among India's trading partners. The first one was China. Then we have the International North-South Transport Corridor, through which we are connected to Russia, the Northern Sea Route, the Chennai-Vladivostok Eastern Maritime Corridor. Russia became India's top crude oil supplier. And we have the Kundan-Kulam nuclear power, which is built with Russia's technological cooperation. Also, the Gaganyaan mission. And if you might know, uh, our first person into space was actually Rakesh Sharma, and he was sent with the efforts of Russia, like Roscosmos. And then the landforms in Russia, the rural mountains, basically these divide Europe and Russia. These form a boundary between Europe and Russia. The Caucasus Mountains, so G, A, Z countries are there. Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, through which these Caucasus Mountains are there. Then it also includes Mount Elbrus, the highest peak of Europe. So Mount Elbrus is in the Caucasus Mountains. The important river is the Volga River, the longest river in Europe. Then important lakes are the Baikal Lake, Lake Baikal, world's deepest and oldest freshwater lake. There's also Caspian Sea, largest enclosed inland water body. So this is a map of Russia. Over here you could see that like from here we have the Ural Mountains, and these also form a boundary between Europe and Asia. So Dagestan of Russia was also in news. Dagestan, Kherson, Kursk region was also in news from this area. So here you could see the Ob River, Zensei River, Lena River, River Amur, Then Lake Baikal. Amur also goes towards China. Amur actually forms the land boundary between Russia and China. So here we also have the Bering Strait. It has the highest longitudinal stretch, like more longitudes. It covers more longitudes. Then India-USA relationships. There's a security of supply arrangement which was signed between India and the US. Security of supply is basically is signed in order to ensure that both countries have access to defense stuff, uh, like during the need of during the time of need, during time of war. So whenever they face some adverse situations, at that time they have their backs and they have the access to the defense defense stuff. So it enables government to secure the mutual timely provision of defense related goods and services during peacetime, emergency, and an armed conflict. So it is legally non-binding. So you have your discretion. So India is the 18th SOSA partner, security of supply arrangement partner. We also have other defense agreements, which are logistic exchange memorandum of agreement LEMOA in 2016, then is COMCASA for compatibility and security arrangement, and there's basic exchange and cooperation agreement. So for the India-US relationships, India-US Trade Policy Forum was established in 2005. India actually has a trade surplus. So like our exports are larger than our imports. So we export more than that of the commodities which we import from USA. So we have a trade surplus. So US designated India as a major defense partner. Although India is not a major non-ally in the NATO, but India is a major defense partner in 2016. From 2016, then there's a 2+2 meeting. We also have the I2Q2, India, Israel, USA, UAE. 2+2 meetings, then defense industrial cooperation. The military exercises which we conduct together are first the Malabar exercise. India hosted the Australia, Japan, and US forces in 2024. So the Malabar exercise basically linked with Quad countries. Then COPE India with for the Air Force, Tiger Triumph for all the three arms of the army, all the three arms of the armed forces. Then the Yuddha Abhyas in the army. So four exercises basically: Malabar, COPE India, Tiger Triumph, and Youth Abhyas. So there's also Indus X. Indus X was launched in June 2023 under critical and emerging technologies. It facilitates partnership among US and Indian defense companies, incubators and accelerators, investors and universities. There have been some geopolitical convergence as well, as you might see Quad, which is a non-military group. Then there is this promoting a resolution to the Tibet-China Dispute Act, which mandates that Tibet-China dispute must be resolved by adhering to international law, including the UN Charter. This was passed by the UN Congress. We also have this EGII, where USA is a member and which is instrumental in the development of the India-Middle East Economic Corridor. So recently there was some news about the tariffs, then the sanctions, especially after the new president Donald Trump has joined. So US State Department warned India of sanctions under the Countering America's Adversaries through sanctions after the India-Israel deal on the Chabahar port. So India was actually building the Chabahar port in order to get access into Central Asia because our neighbor won't allow us, and that wall still remains. So India was actually trying to build this Chabahar port in order to get or in order to build connectivity with Central Asia. But as we all know, Iran is not in good terms with the USA. So there were some threats for the sanctions, like the sanction threat. This is by the CAATSA. countering America's adversaries through Sanctions Act. It is a US federal law to punish countries that deepen engagements with Russia, North Korea, and Iran using economic sanctions. India was basically exempted from economic sanctions under CAATSA for purchasing S-400 missile defense system from Russia. So this is US. It comprises of 50 states. So like 48 are over here. The 49th is this one, Alaska, state of Alaska, and then Hawaii in the Pacific Ocean. The important rivers is the Mississippi River. The important lakes are five Great Lakes, which we read by Superman Saves Everyone. Lake Superior, Michigan, Huron. Superman helps everyone. Superman, Michigan, Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, Ontario. Notable mountain ranges. First, there is this Rockies, then Appalachians, Sierra Nevada. Sierra Nevada was also one of the PVQs. Notable deserts are Mojave, the Great Basin. So yeah, I told you about the Alaska and Hawaii. These are the non-contiguous parts of USA. So India and UK, the United Kingdom, they've recently signed an agreement to strengthen the collaboration in the fields of health and life sciences. So we have many different collaborations, and there is UK's Indo-Pacific tilt, which complements India's strategic interest in the region. There have been 2+2 mechanism for defense and security. The military exercises which we conduct together are the Ajay Warrior, Konkan, Cobra Warrior. Then the economic and trade relations. India is the UK's 12th largest trading partner. There is Technology Security Initiative, the TSI, launched in order to enhance cooperation in the critical and emerging technologies. So we have this critical and emerging technologies, the initiators for the critical and emerging technologies from the US, from UK as well. The focus areas are telecom, critical minerals, semiconductors, AI, artificial intelligence, quantum technology. So this is the United Kingdom over here. This is Ireland. This whole is the United Kingdom. It comprises of four countries. First over here till the England, then the Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. It shares land boundary with only Ireland. The mountain ranges over here are the Pennies. So here we have the North Sea, which was also a PYQ. Moving towards the relations of India and Australia. Australian government in its National Defence Strategy identified India as a top-tier security partner in the Indo-Pacific region. So there have been obviously India uh, is partner with Australia in the Quad. So there has been one joint declaration on maritime cooperation in Indo-Pacific in 2020. There's comprehensive strategic partnership also, and obviously this Quad, mutual logistics supply arrangement. We conduct exercises like OS Index, Pitch Black, Ostra Hind, and obviously the Malabar exercise, which is done with the Quad. So we have signed a letter of intent in 2022 on the new and renewable technology. There is a critical mineral investment partnership, MOU signed between the AU Critical Mineral Office and Khanij Videsh India Limited or Kabul. So there was one more initiative by Kabul in Argentina, which was also in use in order to gain lithium reserves for lithium reserves mining. Then nuclear cooperation, civil nuclear cooperation agreement was signed in 2014. In space, we have the Space Med-3 mission for Australia India's technology, research and innovation mission. Space Med-3. So we are partners in Australia with Australia in G20, WTO, AOR, ARC, IOR, ARC, ASEAN regional forums like ASEAN plus other countries, then the Quad. This is about Australia. Here, you might all know we have the Great Barrier Reef, also have the Great Dividing Range. This is the Coral Sea. So the important rivers are the Murray River, the Murray, and also one Darling. These are the rivers. And the Great Barrier Reef, first largest coral reef system located in the northeast coast of Coral Sea. Australia has the longest national coastline. Australia is the flattest continent and has the oldest known geological formations. So this is about Australia. You can see here this is the Bass Strait. It passes through the Tropic of Capricorn, 6.5 degrees south. So moving towards the relations of India and Japan. So recently there was a bilateral meeting with Japan on the sidelines of the G7 summit in Puglia, Italy, about which we have read earlier. So G7 members are Jews with girlfriend. So J stands for Japan. Then there is a special global strategic partnership. We have strategic interest in the Pacific Ocean as well. Convergence of Japan's free and open Indo-Pacific. India's Indo-Pacific Ocean Initiative, IPOI. Then they have made some initiatives in order to enhance the connectivity, in order to boost the connectivity between India and Japan. So there is Asia-Africa Growth Corridor linking South Asia to Southeast Asia via India's Act East policy and Japan's partnership for quality infrastructure. We also conduct some defense exercises together, which are Therma Guardian, Shin-U-Metri, and Jimex. We have a CEP agreement, India-Japan Agreement for Cooperation in Peaceful Use of Nuclear Energy. And there is this LUPEX, Lunar Polar Exploration Mission by ISRO and JAXA. JAXA is the Space Agency of Japan. US, Japan, South Korea signed Digital Infrastructure Growth Initiative for India's framework, Digi framework. So the Digi framework was also in news. Then Japan is India's largest bilateral donor, supporting projects like the Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail project. We also have the bullet trains from Japan. So this is about Japan, the map of Japan. So here you can see there is the Sea of Japan. The Senkaku Islands were in news, which is also known as Domniu. I'm not sure if I have pronounced correctly, but yeah. So this is about Japan. The capital is Tokyo. And these Kuri Islands, the ownership of these islands is in dispute between the neighbor countries. So the island composition is composed of 4 main islands, which are Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, Kyushu. Japan lies along the western edge of the Pacific Ring of Fire, where the frequent earthquakes and volcanic activity is observed because of the presence of tectonic plate boundaries. So Japan also famous for the animes, the soft power of Japan. Then this is a map about the Southeast Asia. So India's relation with the Southeast Asia. So you could see here till this Papua New Guinea basically belongs to Oceania, not in Southeast Asia. So till here the shaded regions are a part of Southeast Asia. And here you could see these are our Nicobar Islands, which are closer or in more proximity to the Sumatra Islands of Indonesia. This is the Strait of Malacca, which is of greater strategic as well as economic importance. So between India and Singapore, There is a formation of the project Nexus in order to facilitate cross-border payments, which is overseen by the Bank of International Settlements (BIS) in Basel, Switzerland. So Singapore is India's largest trade partner in the ASEAN. Both have signed the CECA Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement. India is a net importer, so we import. And there's a direct tax avoidance agreement which was signed in 2016 in order to check the tax evasion. So direct tax avoidance agreement, as in you need to pay taxes in just one country. Singapore was the largest source of FDI into India. In the financial year 2023 to 24, we conduct military exercises like Agni Warrior, Simbex, joint military training. And this project exercise, I told you, for facilitating cross-border payments, which is an initiative between Singapore and India by connecting their domestic fast payment systems. India's UPI and FPS fast payment systems of Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand will be interlinked through Nexus, which is a project of Bank of International Settlements, the BIS. Then there are some multilateral corporations, the East Asia Summit, the G20, Commonwealth, IORA, Indian Ocean Rim Association, IONS. Singapore joined the International Solar Alliance by India and Global Biofuel Alliance, uh, where India is the pioneer. Then India and Vietnam. So capital of Vietnam is Hanoi. The, the context is that the Prime Minister of Vietnam undertook a state visit to India. There are many strategic partnerships. Then the defense cooperations are PASEX, Winbacks, and Milan. Milan is for the Indian Ocean region. So we have many inter governmental corporations or the multilateral corporations. This is also like initiatives taken by India to strengthen the relations are the Mekong Ganga Cooperation, initiative by India and the five Asian countries, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam. Although the Mekong River basically originates in China, but China is not a member. Just India plus the five Southeast Asia countries like Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam, and Myanmar. So India has handed over the indigenously built missile corvette INS Kripan to Vietnam in 2023. In India and Malaysia, also because of the visit of the Prime Minister of Malaysia to India, Malaysia decided to join the International Big Cat Alliance as its founding member. So International Big Cat Alliance is done in order to conserve the uh, seven big cats, out of which we in India we have five. We don't have Puma and Jaguar. So the India-Malaysia relations, there have been some diplomatic relations. We are also partners with Malaysia in the like we are have the third. Malaysia is the third largest trading partner in Asia. First is obviously Singapore. Then there is palm oil diplomacy because these areas are the one for which palm oil cultivation is a major factor for the economy. So Malaysia along with Indonesia and Thailand are major exporters of palm oil to India. So Malaysia, Indonesia and Thailand. There have been many defense cooperation initiatives as well. So Malaysia India Defense Cooperation Committee, BIDCOM, which meets annually to review the process of in defense cooperation. Then there is exercise Harimau Shakti, people to people contacts as well. Third largest diaspora after the United States and UAE. Malaysia has also accepted UPI payments. So with this, we have completed the unit 3. Let's hop into the unit 4, which are the important events in news. So as we discussed earlier, the Chawar port is like it was made in order to facilitate India's connectivity with Central Asia. So it is in Iran, and here India signed a 10-year agreement with Iran for development of the Sheikh Beheshti port terminal at the Chawar port. So India, Iran, and Afghanistan have signed a tripartite agreement in 2016 to develop the Shahid Beheshti terminal. It's a very strategic location because it is located here on the Gulf of Oman. Here you could see this is the Persian Gulf. So this port will actually minimize the distance from India's west coast to the landlocked countries like Afghanistan, Central Asia, and European nations. It is the gateway to Central Asia, so that India could connect to Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan. Also, there is the Tapi pipeline, which right now passes through Pakistan. Then it aligns with the broader INSTC, the International North-South Transport Corridor Initiative, which is an alternative to the Suez Canal because Suez Canal is being largely monopolized here. Right? It's an artificial canal, and also we have seen that there have been some conflicts in this Red Sea region, mainly because of the Houthi rebels, and there have been conflicts in this Babel Mandab Strait. So here you can see this is India's western coast, and here we have the Chahbar port. So there is also an increasing Chinese presence. So the violet ones are the areas with Chinese presence. The orange ones are for India. So we are developing the Chahbar port. However, subsequently there is a Gwadar port nearby in Pakistan, which also is in the Gulf of Oman. So like Gulf of Oman is this body. So this Java port here, this is the country of Somalia. Sorry, Somalia is over here. This is the country of Oman. So here we have the Dukma port. These are our Minicoy Islands. So we have subsequently Hambantota port in Sri Lanka developed by China. Then this Agalega Islands developed by India. And this port of Dorale by China. So like it's a counter interactive presence of both the countries, counter effective presence. So here the Sittaway port, which we are connecting through the Kaladan multimodal project in order to link India's west city like state of West Bengal to Mizoram and from enhance the connectivity with the northeast India. So here it has the China has the Kuwak Fu port. Also, there have been contentions in this Strait of Malacca as well. A string of pearls by China. So this INSTC, the International North-South Transport Corridor, uh, it's at 7,200 kilometers multimodal transport network agreement signed between India, Iran, and Russia. It is done in order to connect India with Russia, Europe through Iran, and Central Asia. So this right here is the INSTC. So the standard route is you have to cover a large distance, go to here, like this is the Gulf of Aden, cross the Bab el Mandab, then the Red Sea, then the Mediterranean Sea. Here, this is the Atlantic Ocean over here. Then cross it to the North Sea, then reach the Baltic Sea, and then you need to reach Russia. So this project right here, the INSTC, would significantly minimize the travel time for the logistics time between India and Russia, as well as India and the countries of Central Asia. So here we have the now it passes through the Caspian Sea. So the corridor runs from Mumbai to Moscow via the Chahabahar port in Iran, Bandar Abbas in Iran, Bandar Anjali in Iran, and before entering Central Asia and Russia. So between India and the global south. So this is the Brandt's line. And there was a Brandt report according to which the countries towards north of it are the developed, and these are the towards south of it are the developing countries. So in the context of the India's relation with the Global South, India has hosted the third Voice of Global South Summit in a virtual format. So, like, India is trying to establish itself as the one who's pioneering for the development in the Global South. So, you could see, even though Australia is a country in the Southern Hemisphere, it is not included in the Global South because it is developed for a top notch more on the uh, economic aspects. That is why it's not in the Global South, according to this brand's line. So the Voice of Global South is an extension of India's philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam was also a theme of G20 summit hosted by India in 2023, uh, or what we call as the One Earth, One Family, One Future to the international arena. The participation is that we have 123 countries in the Voice of Global South Summit, except China and Pakistan. So you could see China is also covered in the Global South because of its being on a developing side, and except China, Pakistan, all of them, all the 123 countries are there. It has a very human-centric approach for global development compact to address the rising debt of the developing countries. Also, there is an initiative for no debt burden, ensuring that development and infrastructure financing do not impose a debt burden on the developing countries so that they don't fall prey into these growing debts. There is a trade promotion. India has also launched a special fund of $2.5 million to boost the trade promotion activities and $1 million fund for the capacity building in trade policy and trade negotiation in order to give a boost towards these countries and give them impetus to develop, to enhance their capabilities. What is the Global South? So here, as I told you, according to the branch report, it is located in Southern Hemisphere, primarily in Africa, Asia, Latin America. Mind you, this right here is the what we say is equator. This is the southern, like the topic of Capricorn. This is the topic of Cancer. Topic of Cancer also passes through India. So this is the topic of Cancer. Topic of Cancer, Capricorn. The topic of Cancer, equator, and Capricorn. So, yeah, according to Brent's report, proposed a division between North and South countries based on the various parameters such as technological advancements, GDP. So, there's another other Indian initiatives for showcasing the advocacy for Global South are the Social Impact Fund for accelerating digital public infrastructure. So, India has been um, like very vocal about the acceleration of the digital public infrastructure. We have our Digi Stack, and we are the pioneers in like spreading the usage of UPI, RuPay card, and one of the countries who has developed greater using the open source APIs. So there's a Global South Young Diplomat Forum. Induction of the African Union into the G20 was one of the initiatives of the Global South, where a permanent membership was conferred to African Union during India's G20 presidency. Is a vision of Arogya Maitri, One World, One Earth in India's mission for health security. Moving to Indian Indo-Pacific Ocean Initiative. It is a non-treaty based, so there is no treaty linked to it. It's a voluntary agreement that promotes cooperation for free and open Indo-Pacific in line with India's policies. The rule-based regional order in order to counter what China is doing, like expanding its horizon in the Indo-Pacific area. So it was launched by India in 2019 at the East Asia Summit in Bangkok, Thailand. Philosophy is that builds upon India's security and growth for all the Sagar initiative, like development, inclusive development, joining economic existence and maritime security concerns. The seven pillars of the IPOI, Indian Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative, and the respective lead countries. First is the maritime security, maritime ecology, maritime resources, capacity building and resource sharing, disaster risk reduction management, science and tech, uh, academic cooperation, trade, connectivity, and maritime support, transport. Moving to India, EFTA Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement. So India European Free Trade Agreement signed a Trade and Economic Partnership TEPA. So basically these are the four countries of Norway, Switzerland, Ireland and Liechtenstein, which is Liechtenstein is not a part of the EU. It was established on the basis of the Stockholm Convention in 1960 with seven founding members: Austria, Denmark, Norway, Portugal, Sweden, Switzerland, and the UK. The objective was to promote free trade and economic integration between its members and their trading partners. The European Free Trade Association. It's not a customs union. Unlike the EU, EFTA is not a customs union, meaning member countries have their own external tariffs for countries outside the association. So it's not a customs union, and unlike the EU, the EFTA member countries have their own external tariffs. So the countries are not a part of this association. The three EFTA members, which are Iceland, Liechtenstein, and Norway, participate in the European Economic Area. Switzerland has a series of bilateral agreements with the EU instead. Then there is India, European Free Trade Association trade relations. The largest trading partner among the EFTA is the Switzerland. Switzerland is the largest trading partner, followed by Norway. India basically has a trade deficit with Switzerland due to gold imports. So there has been like the aim or the highlights of the economic partnership, trade and economic partnership agreement, TEPA, is to increase FDI, foreign direct investment, by $100 billion and facilitate the generation of 1 million jobs in India. Then the legal commitment is made about promoting target-oriented investment and the creation of jobs. There's a mutual recognition agreement where the professionals, services like nurses, nursing architects, so like the recognition on a reciprocal basis, mutual recognition agreement. Then there is tariff reduction, eliminate tariff on 92% of its tariff lines covering 99.6% of Indian exports. Also providing greater market access to the Tapi gas, natural gas pipeline, as I told you earlier, connecting Turkmenistan via Afghanistan, Pakistan to India. So the place where it would connect India is Fazilka, starting from the Galkanish gas field in Turkmenistan. So it is a jointly like a joint partnership. It starts from the Galkanish gas fields in southern Turkmenistan. The Galkanish gas fields, usually called as the Yolotin gas fields, was discovered in 2006. It is located just in southeast of Mary, which is in Turkmenistan. This is one of the world's five largest gas fields. So for natural gas imports. So some other developments. First is the Path to Peace Summit, which was held in Ukraine. Path to Peace Summit in Ukraine was held in Switzerland to develop a common understanding of a path towards a just and lasting peace in Ukraine. Basically, for in the context of the Russia-Ukraine war, in order to develop peace in Ukraine, lasting peace, India has abstained from signing, obviously because of our relationships with Russia. Signing a joint communique released at the summit, advocating for practical engagement through dialogue between the conflicting parties. So India is actually proposing a practical engagement through dialogue between the conflicting parties, where India has not explicitly condemned the Russian invasion. It had called for an international probe into the Bucha massacre, Busha massacre, and expressed concern over the nuclear threats issued by Russia. Then Mercosur, countries of the South America. It is known as the Southern Common Market. And this was recently news because Bolivia has been a new addition to this group. And the members are Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay. Uh, Venezuela was also a member, but it was now suspended in 2016. India has a preferential trade agreement with Mercosur. So these are the countries: Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, and now Bolivia. The objective is basically facilitating free movements of goods, services, etc. among these four countries and people. Then the Colombo process. India has chaired the first meeting as a chair of the Colombo process. India is one of the founding members. The objective is to for management of overseas employment and contractual labor, to oversee the process, to make a more consultative process that provides platform for consultations on the management of overseas employment and contractual labor. The support is given by the United Nations International Organization for Migration, providing technical and administrative support for the Colombo process. So the member states from Asia, such as Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and India as well, multiple member states of Asia. In Colombo Security Conclave, uh, Bangladesh has been inducted as its fifth member. It was founded in 2011 as a trilateral maritime security grouping of India, Sri Lanka, and Maldives, later joined by Mauritius and Bangladesh. So Colombo Security Conclave has Sri Lanka, India. So like here it is India, then Sri Lanka, then Maldives, then Mauritius, and now it has Bangladesh as well. Seychelles is an observer state. So Seychelles is also one of the island country in the Indian Ocean. Then World Press Freedom Index has been released by the Paris-based Reporters Without Borders, one of the leading NGOs in defense and promotion of freedom of information. We have also read about a country in Africa which has basically banned media from reporting political news. This we have read in the previous video. Please do let me know which country was it. So the World Freedom Index is published on the World Press Freedom Index, Press Freedom Day, which is on 3rd May. The top three rankers are the Norway, Denmark, and Sweden, countries of the Scandinavian countries, parts of the Scandinavia. So we have now finished uh, the fourth unit. So I'll see you guys in the next one where we discuss more about the fifth unit of this very document. Till then, see ya, bye, and just 13 days left for the examination. Please do well, please focus, and thank you for watching.